Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting of Government Operations Committee for Monday, January 3rd, 2022. A roll call, please.
Baba?
Here.
Leitner?
Here.
Bongard?
Here.
Bancroft?
Here.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Here.
Wirball?
Here.
Besner?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Thank you. Administrator, there was nothing on there today. So on the fiscal, there's no items tonight. So we'll start with item 5, Human Resources Department. Recommendation to authorize the City of St. Charles membership into the Intergovernmental Personal Benefits Cooperative, IPBC. Good evening.
Good evening. Council may recall that at the retreat last February, I introduced this item about moving the city from self-insured for its health insurance to a benefit cooperative or an insurance pool. And this is about being strategic in the long term because of high claims and the rising costs of high claims, as well as the stop-loss insurance that we have to purchase in order to cover those high claims. So that stop-loss insurance is something that's very expensive this year. It's about $650,000, and it has projected increases of between 25 and 30% ongoing. So the primary driver for this recommendation is to kind of spread the risk and share the risk among other municipalities in this benefit cooperative, rather than assuming all that risk ourselves. In addition, it will provide some cost savings. The analysis done this year by our broker, it would have, if we stayed self-insured, we'd have a 6.6% increase in our health insurance as opposed to 3.4% by moving to that benefits cooperative. And if you look at the financial backup in there, that would also be an increase for more than 12 months. It goes all the way to the end of June 30th because that is what the benefit cooperative fiscal year is. So it's an increase that lasts a little bit longer for us as well. There's also an opportunity to retain some soft costs by having some things that we have to do in-house because we're self-insured and having that being done by the Personnel Benefits Cooperative. But I provided a lot of detail in the backup memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Yes.
I have a question. How does this line up with our current insurance when IPBC can take over? Does it fall in line? The timing of when it starts, and do we have to do anything being self-insured to cover ourselves?
Thank you. Okay, yes. So we have purchased last year we purchased additional insurance with our stop loss to cover any run-out costs when we transition over, so we don't have that exposure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or concerns from anybody?
Move for approval.
Moved by Leitner.
Second.
Second by Petrola. Roll call, please.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Leitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 6, Finance Department. Recommendation to approve an ordinance abating a portion of the 2021 property tax tariff levied for the City of St. Charles. Good evening.
Good evening. The ordinance presented for your approval tonight abates $10,855,111 of property tax, which represents the principal and interest payments, which was to be paid for annual debt payments in 2022. This is also the amount that was included in the 2021 property tax levy, and as discussed at that time, the intention was always to abate this portion of the tax because the city will use other revenue sources to make these payments. Those include user fees from the utility funds, tax increment from the tax increment finance districts, and other sources within the general fund. Whenever the city issues general obligation bonds, it files an ordinance with the counties with a provision that they will levy a property tax to pay the annual principal and interest payments. To prevent the property tax from being levied for the purposes of paying debt, the city must adopt or approve this abatement ordinance on an annual basis. Of note, the city has issued debt at the end of December. We actually just closed on our debt issuance December 30th. With that, we have two additional bond issues, a 2021A and a 2021B. I will be bringing forth abatement ordinance for those debt at the next council meeting.
Any comments or concerns? Alderman Warble.
Just to clarify, this tax abatement has nothing to do with the property tax levy increase of 4.99%?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? Okay, can I have a motion and a second, please?
Yep. Move for approval.
Moved by Payliner, seconded by Lencioni. Roll call, please.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Go to item number 7, Police Department. Recommendation to approve a resolution, street closures and amplification equipment for the 2022 St. Patrick's Day Parade. Good evening, Chief.
Hi, good evening, members of the Government Services Committee, or Government Operations Committee, pardon me. This event is for March 12th, 2022. It's our annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Of course, there is the caveat that should COVID sanctions stipulate otherwise, we can cancel the event. The event is supposed to take place at 2 p.m. There's an IDOT resolution in your packet authorizing the City Council direction to IDOT to actually close the road. You'll see some street closures in effect, along with some parking modifications. Once again, this is an annual event, and myself or the Special Operations, the Special Events Committee can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions or concerns? Alderman Lovett.
Just a quick question. We didn't get to it yet, but we have a movie production coming here, and I noticed the dates kind of conflict. Do you see any issues with parking or anything like that with that?
I'll cover that in the next agenda item, but we've anticipated that and worked with the organizers of that event.
Okay.
We'll get to that at the next item.
All right, thank you.
Move for approval. I'll second it.
Moved by Petrola, seconded by Weber. Roll call, please.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. 7B, recommendation to approve a resolution for street and parking lot closures and use of the old police station faculty for an Airboat Productions LLC movie production.
All right. Thank you. So this event, as Alderman Warble talked about, is really not in conflict with the St. Patrick's Day Parade, but there is some overlap. So the event that we're presenting now is supposed to take place from the 7th of March through the 19th of March. Airboat LLC Productions is asking for various street closures, parking lot closures, and use of the police facility. We've had ongoing discussions with both Adam, Dustin, and the entire crew, which are here to my left, along with our entire special events committee led by Commander Clark there in the back. We've gone through just about every possible scenario. We'll have officers on scene for not only site security, but also traffic direction and pedestrian safety. Most of the filming will take place from 2 p.m. to 8 a.m. Airboat LLC has done a number of, this is just an LLC assigned to this movie production, but this crew has done multiple filmings throughout the United States and abroad. We've had a lot of discussions with them. I'm pretty confident that the plan they have in place is a good plan. Anyone from the production company can answer questions that you might have, or Commander Clark and the rest of the special events team. They are asking for the old police facility. There is a COI that we will secure in that particular respect, which is a certificate of insurance, naming the city as additionally insured. And once again, anyone here in attendance can answer questions that you might have.
Any questions or comments? Yes, Alderman Weber.
Yes. Do we get reimbursed for the cost that we incur?
Our real costs for personnel we do. So all the costs that we've calculated thus far are for police overtime, which is the $35,000 figure. And Airboat has agreed, obviously, to pay that cost. Any additional personnel costs will be discussed with them. We'll have ongoing discussions. We did not include any soft costs for the use of the police facility.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, Alderman Bongard.
Chief, who's responsible for notifying businesses who might be affected?
The production company, and they can speak to that. I know there was a little bit of dialogue from some businesses that they weren't contacted. They've had dialogue with in excess of 100 businesses. So they have gone not only in person, but corresponded with a number of businesses via email and in-person communication. But that onus would be on the production company.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Or the production company? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Besner,
Second.
second by
Wirball.
Powell. Roll call, please.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Hayleitner?
Yes.
Bonegard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Monsioni?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Our next item, City Administration. Discussion regarding Chicago, Cook County vaccinating requirements for certain businesses. I'd just like to make a couple comments before we start this meeting, please. This item is for discussion only. No formal vote will be taken tonight. First, just a little schedule. First will be a presentation by our City Administrator, Heather McGuire. Next, Mayor Laura Vitek will share her comments. Then the committee will have their discussions. And after that, we have our discussions. If there's comments, we will take them at that time. So first off, do you have any comments from the, okay. Okay, Heather, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I do want to just reiterate what Chairman Silkaitis has said. This is an item that is presented for discussion purposes only. There is no request for a vote or formal action this evening. There are some documents contained in your packet that detail the specifics of the Chicago and Cook County ordinances, all of which are going to take a significant amount of time, I imagine, to work through. But I don't want to spend a significant portion of my time here this evening reviewing those, given that the number of interested audience members here today, and those are just provided for reference only. I do want to make it clear that this is not a recommendation by staff, and there is no current plan, unless otherwise directed, to implement any policies or mandates at this time. We have reached out to the surrounding municipalities as well as the county, and there is no intent to initiate any policies or mandates from them at this point either. I do want to emphasize that today the city administration offices received over 200 messages in opposition to any sort of mandate or requirement, with 2 in support. This item was brought forward to the mayor after she was approached by a few elected officials who believed it was important to publicly discuss the position on the matter and make it clear where the city of St. Charles stood on this issue. In light of that, we will turn it over to the mayor for her comments before returning it back to committee.
Thank you, City Administrator, and thank you, Chairman. Good evening. I'd like to make one thing absolutely clear. I'm adamantly against requiring proof of vaccination to visit businesses in St. Charles. The topic was put on tonight's agenda, as City Administrator mentioned. It was put on tonight's agenda to officially document our position in the public record and remove any doubt about where we stand, especially in light of recent decisions by other government agencies. As residents elect their aldermen, all of which are up here, there were aldermen who strongly believed that they wanted to make a public statement that they too adamantly were or are opposed to such a recommendation or mandate. As such, this evening, we are not taking a vote, and I believe the majority, if not all of the aldermen sitting up here, are in support of this position. If that is not the case this evening, please do provide feedback at this time. Thank you. Back to you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you. I appreciate your thing, but let's just try to keep a little order here. Thank you. Okay, so now it comes to the committee. So we now get to discuss what we have presented here, and everybody can voice their concerns or comments. So who would like to start? Alderman Hayleitner.
Clearly, I too oppose, but I just want to reiterate again, Ms. Wire and Mayor Vitek were very clear, as were you, Mr. Chairman, that there was not, in fact, a request to discuss this item for consideration. There was, but rather a request to comment and express an overwhelming opposition to this mandate situation. So I just want to make that clear, that that there was never a desire to consider this for St. Charles. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or anything from the committee?
I'll go.
Okay, Alderman Bonegard?
Yeah, and to echo those points, I think it's important to understand how we got to this point with so many of us sitting in this room. You know, when you see a decision that happened so close to home, you know, that took place in Cook County, obviously, we're going to start to have conversations internally. You know, we all live in St. Charles, have constituents, and part of our responsibility is having those discussions as a council, as a group, to making sure, hey, you know, where do we stand with this? You know, and the message wasn't to, you know, come out and let's put this table for an open discussion, but more so to take people's temperatures. And overwhelmingly, the response, you know, the mayor said it perfectly of where we were and what we wanted to be. But, you know, selfishly, I know how things can quickly change, you know, and if one county sees another county act, and all of a sudden decisions get made for you. And I think it's important for not only this body, but other people in elected positions to point out, hey, where do we stand with this? You know, what is our position, you know, as a group? So I appreciate the mayor, the city administrator taking the time, everybody coming out. You know, we're all in this situation, and I appreciate people taking the time to share their opinions.
Thank you. Any other comments from the committee? Yes, Alderman Weber.
Yes, I just want to say that publicly, I was not one of the aldermen that wanted to have a discussion about this. When I saw this on the agenda, I was a little perplexed and upset because I know that St. Charles is not about this. We have our own minds. We are not Chicago. We are not Cook County. We like to be different, different in a good way. So I'm so glad and you know, and honored to live in a city that the people quickly voiced their opinion. They reached out, they let us know. I had multiple emails, phone calls today. I talked to a lot of constituents. I'm really glad that you guys have so much pride in your obviously individual liberties as well as the city and business owners and the right to operate your business and to let adults make their own decisions for themselves. So thank you everybody for coming out.
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Petrella.
I'm going to echo my colleagues' comments. I've talked to a lot of constituents today. I loved talking to all of them. I appreciate their thoughts. I, too, was not one of the aldermen who brought forward, but I would not support this anyway. And thank you, everybody, for being here.
Any other comments?
I'll jump in.
Alderman Besner.
I'm opposed to any kind of vaccine mandates or vaccine passports. I think both Alderman Weber and Petrella said it best. We're thankful for everybody coming out. It's an overreach, but at the same time, we had a chance to be transparent, and now, as we'll see how this meeting goes tonight, we'll see that fall through as anybody else wants to add comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Alderman Bancroft.
So I too was not one of the aldermen that wanted to bring this forward. I guess a couple of things that I'd be clear on all of our communications from constituents, we got communications from people who didn't like the vaccine. We got communications from people who got vaxxed. We got communications from people who thought it was just a paperwork thing. And so what I really want to be clear of, and I think hopefully my colleagues will agree, the idea of not requiring a mandate is not an indictment of the vaccine. And I will say that again. The idea that we are not going to require a mandate is not an indictment of the vaccine by this governing body. Yeah. And I'd be interested on whether people agree with that.
I appreciate your clarification, Alderman Bancroft. Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman Bancroft. Any other comments from the committee? Alderman Dalla.
Yeah, I too echo my sentiments to my colleagues here. I was not one that brought this to forward, and when I saw it on the agenda late last week, I was shocked. So appreciate everyone coming out, but I too am not in favor of any kind of mandate like this.
Thank you very much. As far as how this got onto the agenda, like that's another question. I don't even know that there was a thing that people are claiming for agenda, but I don't think that we have any reason to be afraid of saying that we don't believe that this is in the best interest of people. I don't think that we should ever be afraid to allow people to know that, St. Charles doesn't think that businesses should, be required to participate in a nanny state, that we should be abridging people's opportunity to choose for themselves. And I don't think that we should be afraid to say what we stand. So people can see that we're standing for people and we believe in just the rights of citizens of the United States of America. I don't think that we should be afraid of that at all. Instead of, who asked for what to be put where, we should be a transparent body, and I think that that is what is most important. With really important and frankly scary things happening. So I don't have a problem that we've had this conversation tonight stating exactly where we stand. So, but I appreciate everybody coming out, and I appreciate having the opportunity to know where the city stands, and I don't think that we should shy away from that.
Thank you, Alderman Mancini. Alderman Walbo.
This is a process of elimination. I too did not request this to be on the agenda. So I'm just going to keep it simple. I echo a lot of the similar concerns that were noted up here as well. So I'll just leave it at that. So.
Thank you. For me, normally the chairman does not comment on these things, but I'm not in favor of this either. For the record, and I don't know how it got an agenda either, but whatever, it is on the agenda. So if we're done with the comments here, so just a little statement here. First of all, item 8 was solely for discussion. No action was to be taken this evening. Tonight, the committee unanimously rejected any COVID vaccination requirements prior to visiting businesses. Now, is there anyone from the public that has anything to add? If you do, hold on. If you do, please, if you come up to the podium, I ask for your name and address for the record, please. And also, one more thing, please be respectful for other people's opinions. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marcy Miller, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight. I really appreciate everything that you have said so far. I'd like to share a few things that possibly you might not know about, but it can enlighten us all. I do believe in life that we make choices, and we will be accountable someday, and we have to take that seriously. We do it with all kinds of things in our life, and I would like to share a few things. You are going to be receiving a certified mail documentation from the nation's 2 leading authorities on COVID-19 and vaccines. Dr. Peter McCullough, I don't know if any of you have heard of him. Dr. Peter McCullough, who...
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Could I just say, I appreciate the applause, but can we keep it at least to the end?
Okay.
Thank you.
He who has 46 publications in peer-reviewed COVID-19 and vaccines throughout the world. He is the only doctor that has that many published peer reviews. He is the most published medical doctor in the world on these topics. Dr. Robert Malone, the man that invented mRNA technology, which is used in the COVID-19 vaccines. He said that vaccinated people will be spreading the virus more than the unvaccinated, and far more than the unvaccinated, and public officials are not disclosing the truth to the people, which is a violation and a risk to the people of the Nuremberg Code. Dr. Malone said children have virtually zero risk to die from COVID-19. If given the vaccine, they have very high risk of having severe long-term damage to their organs and death. In addition, you will receive 8-count indictments being filed against Moderna, Pfizer, CDC, FDA, Dr. Fauci, and others. Dr. Martin, a fellow of the Batten Institute of the University of Virginia. He has brought the world's largest white-collar criminals to justice over the last 3 decades. He is an expert in patent and constitutional and international law. I am going to give you these papers. I also am not sure if any of you have looked at the VAERS COVID vaccine results recently. Has any of you ever gone on the website? Okay. So as of December 24th, and it's not updated, it's always several months behind, Dr. McCullough has said, 21,002 deaths, 110,609 hospitalizations, 109,245 urgent care, 156,456 office visits, and many other heart attacks, permanently disabled, miscarriages, 3,400. And Dr. McCullough said that most of the hospitals are not reporting any adverse, they're not told to because it's too time-consuming, number one. It takes over a half an hour to do it. He reported a death and immediately got a phone call, okay? And it took him over a half an hour. He says he does not have the time to do this. So this is very serious. We have to take this seriously. I don't have children myself personally, but if I had children, I'd be scared to death about vaccinating my children and permanently either killing them or dismembering them in some way, or their organs, or sterilizing them. We have to take this seriously. And I am so grateful that you're saying this is not on your agenda to talk about. Thank God, because we are going to be accountable. And it just shakes me to think of the children and what can happen to these children. If they do it in Cook County, they'll come out here. You say you're not going to do it. And I pray to God that you go into your heart and think and really go within and think about what's really going on here in our country. I don't know if any of you have read the Constitution recently. I'd like to give you a copy of it, please. I think we all need to read it and know our rights. We have a right for our freedom of our body. People that have abortion say, my body, my choice. What about vaccines and all these other things? We have a choice. God gave us this freedom. You don't even have to believe in God or religion, but we have freedom in the United States for a reason. That's why all these other people in other countries come here, is to be free. Are we going to take that away like Australia and all these other countries? Well, we won't have it. If we give in, we'll never get it back, ever. So please, I'm pleading with you to share with your friends and family the truth and research these doctors, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Martin. These are experts. They're brilliant, and they've risked their lives and their practices. They're getting death threats. They have so many things that are coming against them. Dr. Peter McCullough has a lawsuit against him. So this is serious stuff, and I'm grateful. I ask God bless you all that you have all decided not to even have it on the agenda. And I pray that it just grows and grows to every single state and throughout the world. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Arthur Lemke. I live on 3214 Blackhawk Trail on the east side here in St. Charles. And I do appreciate everyone here. And I think what's important, this total room, be vigilant to this. We have been very successful in recent years with outdoor dining, sometimes carrying it on until November and such. We've been a very good group getting to consensus. And the point to be made is it was not on the agenda for a motion in City Council. It was on a committee agenda for discussion. So we're always open to discussion in my past experience and my experience here with the school board. Keep an eye out for this. We're all citizens. We're all very bright, educated, well-motivated city. We're going to get through this, but it changes from day to day. And the one thing I would add to the last comment is the J&J vaccine has been reduced in its recommendation because it's causing blood clots in the young, and they've been very slow about saying it, but that is not hitting the news as it hit personally our family.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Stroud. I live at 531 South 12th Street here in St. Charles. I'd like to start off by saying vaccines work. The science is there. They save lives. I'm a former caretaker. I have worked in living facilities with elderly. I have personally witnessed elderly citizens die and suffer from this deadly worldwide pandemic. And I say shame on anybody who denies the fact and has the nerve to stand up here.
Please direct your
Has
comments
the nerve
to the committee.
stand up here and deny the facts. Shame on all of you.
Okay,
And
ma'am, I asked you to
I
be
say-
respectful for other
I am
people's
being
comments.
respectful. You're going to
No,
let me
you're not.
finish.
No, you're not,
I
ma'am.
support vaccines, and I say shame on leadership for not doing the right thing. Shame on you guys for choosing. There was no decision required. So for each of you to get up here and only acknowledge the people against the vaccine is a disgrace. Because there are plenty of people here and in the city who...
done that, ma'am.
That's exactly what was going on earlier.
I disagree with
That's
you, but...
exactly... You guys are choosing convenience over
Okay,
science.
wait, one person at a time talking, please. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. The United States has had 53,795,407 confirmed cases to date, with 820,355 confirmed deaths, with many thousands more suspected deaths not confirmed by medical means. Over the past weekend, Illinois had 128,246 new cases of COVID, with 386 new deaths. Kane County had 845 new cases and 3 new deaths. Illinois' total COVID cases to date, 2,149,548 cases. Deaths, 20,874 and counting. In Kane County alone, 948 deaths. There are those who are sick and tired of mitigation. We all are. Masks, social distance, and the likes are not exactly fun, but they have helped to control the spread of this disease. This is not a partisan issue. This is not about liberals versus conservatives, Democrats versus Republicans. This is a public health emergency. This was a deadly worldwide pandemic that doesn't discriminate. There are rules everywhere we go. Had everyone followed the rules from the beginning, had people done the right thing from the start, we would not be in this position having to discuss this very thing.
Excuse me, she's entitled to her opinion just like the other people are, so please.
I am a man.
Be respectful.
He.
Okay.
He.
I apologize.
Michael
You can't put
Stroud.
your mask on, I couldn't
Thank
say
you.
it. No, please let her speak. She's entitled to her.
It's a he. Can you stop calling me her? Can you respect my gender?
I apologize, ma'am.
I am a gay man, not a
That's
she.
fine. I have no problem
Not
with
a
that.
she.
But I can't.
This
Okay,
is
I
done.
apologize. Sorry, I told you. Okay, next, please. Okay.
Please speak to us.
Okay, come on.
Speak to us.
Hi.
Thank you.
Kathy DeLarge on Cedar Street, St. Charles. Okay, quick question. If the powers that be in Kane County come up with a mandate about the passport stuff, do we not as a city have the choice to opt out? And I ask this because I've read that, like for Cook County, Burr Ridge and Orland Park, I believe it is, have opted out of passport.
And that's a good point, except they have their own health department, so they can do that.
Ah, interesting.
We don't have our own health department, so if the county would do a mandate,
okay,
then we would have to follow that mandate from the county.
Because
we don't have the option to opt out of it.
Okay, gotcha.
Just to my knowledge, nothing's been presented, so I can't say for sure.
Okay, are you sure that they have their own health department?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I read.
That did not.
They do.
They do.
That's what I read. That's why they can do that for it. They can opt out. They have their own health department.
Okay, interesting. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carmen Santiago Keenan. I've been in Kane County for about 8 years now, and I want to say thank you for having this open discussion. I'm actually here to represent people like myself. I identify as someone that has lupus, an autoimmune disease that has been categorized as not qualifying to get the vaccine. I'm also somebody that identifies as someone who unfortunately is allergic to most pharmaceutical drugs, putting me in quite a predicament. With that said, for people like me, I don't have a choice. I can't get this vaccine. So when I saw that this might be up for discussion in my community, obviously I was, upset. I'm also somebody that has stood here 2 years ago and spoken at the BLM rally on behalf, I've been an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion for over 10 years. I have an IT consulting company. I also have a new company. I also had a company at the time called Diversify Solutions, leaning in on diversity, equity, and inclusion, leadership training around that, and also recruiting around that in the technology space. I now have pivoted to freedom employment, but that's a whole other thing. I'm here to just really advocate not only for people like myself that have this story that don't have a choice, that medically don't have a choice, and we all deserve the freedom to choose because we are in America. But more poignantly, I'm here to also read the Illinois Healthcare Act of Conscience, the Care Right of Conscience Act 745 ILCS 70 protects people from government and businesses inquiring into or mandating any healthcare issues. This particular law has been brought to our attention. Particularly, not only Section 2, it is public policy of the state of Illinois to respect and protect the right of conscience of all persons who refuse to obtain, receive, or accept, or who are engaged in the delivery of, arrangement for, or payment of healthcare services, medical care, whether acting individually, corporately, or in association with other persons. And it goes down to other sections, but more poignantly, we have Section 7, which states, Section 7 prohibits discrimination by employers or institutions by stating that it is unlawful for any public or private employer, entity, agency, institution, official, or person, etc., to deny admission because of, to orally question about any forms of healthcare services contrary to his or her conscience. Section 8 prohibits denying aid or benefits and declares any such denial unlawful. So here in our great state of Illinois, this is law which actually speaks against any act discriminating against any of us that are unvaccinated. So I wanted to bring that to this attention. I also wanted to thank you for standing up and advocating for somebody like myself that not only is a business owner and strives to help people not only stay employed, but also supports the small business here in Kane County. Thank you. God bless America.
Anybody else like to make any comments?
My name is Amy Harty. I'm from Foxborough Road in St. Charles, and I sent in a comment, but it's all been covered. You guys addressed that, but I did have another question. It's about something from earlier. You guys all voted for this emergency, to continue the emergency.
Executive orders, correct.
Executive orders.
It was approved.
Can you explain what that involves and what's behind that? Because it appears to have been in place for the last year and a half or so.
Do you want to know what exactly it is, or do you want to know why we did how we voted?
I want to know what is entailed in that, because emergency doesn't seem like this is an emergency anymore.
Okay,
and I'd also like to know why we're continuing to vote on that.
I will have our city attorney speak to that, the legality of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, that was action taken at the council meeting, not at this committee meeting.
Right. I did hear that before, but when it was called up for comment, I didn't know if it was from us or from the...
Really, the appropriate time would have been at that meeting,
right.
But, given what we've got going on here, I get it.
Okay.
But that's been an ongoing action by the council to preserve the right to address any emergency action that might be taken. It's just been a placeholder to keep going to make sure that as events unfold, the council's at least armed with the ability to conduct emergency action. Doesn't mean they have to take anything. They haven't taken anything recently, but by preserving it, it keeps open that ability for this city council to take that emergency action.
So what kinds of, could something like what everybody's all worried about here, could something like that come under account? I'm just concerned about what kinds of things are.
Yeah, really, it's not
Can be
part of
thrown into
tonight's
that.
discussion, get into the what-if game with you. Okay,
Oh,
this
that's
is
fine.
this is public comment to
Yeah.
give to them your observations on these matters.
Okay.
So this is a function of maybe something that was, done somewhere else. We all know where that was. So, but I'm not too sure emergency action would fall within the purview of what you see tonight.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you all for what everybody said, and
Hello, my name's David Kahn. I'm a new resident in Illinois, so I'm kind of excited to meet public officials who so much are committed to the citizens, and that's really inspiring. That's how we're going to take back our country on the local level, responding what we really want, listening to what our constituents are saying. So thank you all for standing up and being clear. It's our freedom to make a decision. I wanted to mention something because Michael talked a lot about some things, so I thought it would be good just to mention. Science is always developing. I'm in the medical area. And we're seeing more and more facts coming out now after 2 years. And it's important for public officials to know and be on top of the science because you're making decisions for your citizens. And there's a responsibility there, which is quite serious. A couple of things I'll mention. They now see that influenza dropped by 97% last year. So we know COVID is a miracle because it got rid of influenza, which we couldn't solve forever. Also, they made a rule on vaccines, which said if you get a vaccine within 14 days of dying or going to the hospital, you're considered unvaccinated. So they have no idea if the damage came from the vaccine or from the virus, because they're considered unvaccinated. These are things you can verify. We also know that the mRNA, the gold standard of testing whether you have COVID or not, has been proven to be ineffective and inaccurate, not just the amount of cycles, which proved it to be ridiculous, but even they reduced the cycles, and it's been removed as a test. So now we have to be on top of those things to know. And then that's the PCR test. Excuse me, PCR test has now been shown to be inaccurate, and it's been removed from CDC finally after 2 years. Being the gold standard, it's been removed. And also the mRNA is something which is showing some really severe problems, and especially for our children. The children have been shown clearly in 2 years. There's almost virtually zero risk for the children. Yet they're forcing in many areas, children have to get vaccines. I can imagine, my children are older now, but the horror I would have as a parent who didn't take time to study and forced my kids to get a vaccine, and they became one of the permanently injured or ones who died with zero risk. So it's important to stay on top of those things. And the last thing I'll just mention is there is a Nuremberg Code which actually applies to public officials from the top, at the current resident in the White House, all the way down to what you guys are doing on the local level. The Nuremberg Code is very serious, and we're going to send to each of you a copy of it in case you don't have it. I'm going to give you 3 just today. But it really states that public officials have responsibility to make the proper guidance and not make those kind of rules that they made in Cook and Chicago very serious, and in other areas around the country. So thank you very much for standing up. Let's keep ourselves informed. You guys are public officials representing us, so be informed and be open so we can provide the right information and protections for our citizens. Thank you.
Yeah, Alderman Banko.
So again, I want to be really clear. We had an outpouring of people who did not want a vaccine mandate of our businesses, and that was the topic of this discussion. This is not a debate, a discussion about the efficacy of a vaccine. And many of the people who responded to us not wanting a mandate started their sentence with, by the way, I've got the vaccine, or all my family's vaccinated. And so I want to be really, really careful. I want to be really, really careful that just because someone comes up and stands in front of a podium and reads you the name of a couple of doctors or some numbers, I encourage you to do your own research and make your own healthcare decisions. That is, and just because it's said at this podium does not mean that it is, ratified by this governing body either. So just as an FYI, and again, I go back to, I would bet you more than half of the people who responded against the mandate started their response with, I got the vaccine. So.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. My name is Polly Deerdorf. I live in West Chicago. I'm a former RN with an active license, and I totally support patient choice. Nurses and doctors should support patients if they want to get the vaccine, or if they don't. That is the role of the nurse and the doctor. I wrote 2 pages, but I'm just going to read one paragraph to keep it short. There's a lot of us here. Mandating medical treatments or proof of vaccine violates nursing and medical ethics. Coercion is not part of medicine and should not be a part of a democracy either. Mandates violate national and international laws such as the Nuremberg Code. They violate the fact that medical choice is a human right and must remain everyone's choice. The CDC is an advisory body. They, nor anyone or any institution, should mandate medical treatment. Thank you.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm not the best speaker. All I expect, well, for one, I don't even know why it's even brought as an agenda when, like, everybody can agree, regardless of your political views, follow the science, whatever. Vaccinated person can still spread COVID. That's already been, we all know that. Every person in here, it's not a question of, oh, your belief, there's follow the science. So there should never even be an idea of, oh, well, the vaccinated can't, it doesn't make sense. If a vaccinated person can spread it to me, and if they've gotten vaccinated, they have faith that it's going to protect them, then how am I a danger to them going into a business? So in my opinion, it should never even be entertained. I follow the science, and like I said, you could, it doesn't matter your political views, and it's not about the vaccine. If you feel comfortable taking the vaccine, that's fine, because you feel it protects you. Then you shouldn't fear me if I'm unvaccinated. You know what I mean? I mean, it shouldn't even be entertained. It should all be by science, because now you're creating a second-class citizen. Oh, well, those are the dirty people. They shouldn't be allowed in here. When in all instance, it doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? That's all I got to say. Keep it short and sweet. But it shouldn't even be entertained. It's about safety. You got to go by the science. Look at the NFL. The 97% vaccinated, it's running rampant in vaccinated people, giving it to other vaccinated people. So therefore, I should have every right to go in that restaurant, whatever it is, just as much as vaccinated people, because I'm taking a bigger risk if I'm unvaccinated by them giving it to me and me getting severely sick. So I don't understand how it's a threat to any of them. Should never even be entertained.
Good evening. Chairman, council members, my name is Chris Margowich. I'm at 1424 Quincy Bridge Court. Relatively satisfied with what I've heard from everybody today. I appreciate your time and your dedication to this. I wasn't going to read my statement after hearing everybody's outcome here, but I just figured I'd take a quick second to read it off since I wrote it this afternoon. Most of which was already said by most of the council members here, but the discussion of following suit with most anything that comes from Cook County is not one of the reasons me and my wife moved here with our three children. We moved to St. Charles for community. For St. Charles to potentially impose a mandate in its community to limit people's ability to act as a true community, restrict involvement is very disappointing to me and my wife. Something that I never thought would have to write or appear before the board to oppose. This should be terminated, which I believe it is, in the Government Operations Committee now, as there is no justification for this mandate. Not only is this a restriction upon people's freedoms, but this would be one more thing to continue to adversely impact the lives of our children in the community that has previously claimed awards, which I believe are righteously justified to be one of the best towns to live in. I appreciate living here. I appreciate everything that everybody does here. And I believe that you're, I don't want to say making the right decision, but you're in the right direction. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other comments?
My name is Mitch Bridges. I live on Forest Boulevard in St. Charles. I guess I more have a question. If Kane County pushes a Vax passport, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to open our own health department, or are we going to sue them for our bodily autonomy? Is there maybe it's more of a suggestion for discussion in a future meeting, but I'm not comfortable or satisfied with if Kane County says we need Vax passports, then we're going to have Vax passports.
Well, you know, to your point, I don't think you need to discuss it until we know what Kane County does, because we don't know what their, how they, or if they do something. Right now, they're not inclined to do anything.
Right.
So I don't want to, I'm not going to jump the gun until we know exactly if they ever do propose anything. There's been no talk of it yet that I've heard of.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lauren Fitzgerald. I'm an MD. I moved here to St. Charles about a year ago. Native Texan, but I wasn't planning on saying anything, but everyone keeps saying follow the science. And I was a board certified anesthesiologist. I left Western medicine when I realized that so much of Western medicine is influenced by big pharma. Follow the science. The science is paid for by these huge pharmaceutical companies. So a lot of the real science has been hidden and censored. So as aldermen, I would love to challenge you guys something that our big officials back in D.C. are not doing. Challenge our community to take back their own health. This is a censorship that on my social media platforms, I'm being censored all the time because I want to give people the opportunity to realize that they don't have to live in this state of fear. Little things like your vitamin D levels. If everyone checked their vitamin D levels and made sure that it was a minimum of 40, a lot of these people's immune systems would be working the way they're supposed to. Or making sure that they're supplementing with vitamin C and zinc and eating healthy food that's not processed. You guys, we have, and I would love to, I know Laura is a friend of mine, and I would love to take on an initiative to help our community actually take back their health. But I believe that you guys, as our leaders of our community, have that responsibility to help really have true health instead of just believing that health comes from something that's jabbed in our arms. So I just want to put that out there. But I appreciate you all for being here and your work.
Hello, my name is Mike Maritas. I live at 244 South 17th Street in St. Charles. I'm also a business owner in St. Charles, and I'm pleasantly pleased that everyone's on board with this Vax passport. And as a business owner, I wouldn't bother my customers regardless if it was passed or not passed, a mandate. I feel that when the customer comes in, it's their choice. If they're vaccinated or not, it's not my place as a business owner to ask for that passport. So I'm pleasantly pleased that you guys are all on board with that. So I'm against Vax passports for any business in St. Charles.
Okay, any other comments from the audience? Any comments from the committee?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Hold on, anything from staff over there?
Keep it.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Weber, second by Bancroft. Roll call, please.
Besser?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Hayleitner?
Yes.
Bongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Valenciani?
Yes.
Petrola?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Still only an hour.
I know.